Across India, thousands of farmers like Balbir are struggling to provide for their families.
We're demanding fair crop prices. There's no fixed prices, so what will the farmers do? We'll have to sell our lands. Farmers are facing a financial crisis because of debts and increased rates of interest.
Failed talks between farmers' unions and the government have led frustrated farmers to join protest marches headed for the capital. They're calling for the government to legislate more state support or guarantee minimum crop prices. The peaceful march turned violent when protesters clashed with police trying to stop the convoy.
Security forces are throwing tear gas shells from the other side. Landowners and farmers are sitting here. Some of the people are being moved as they have sustained injuries. People have hurt their eyes, legs. A lot of damage has been caused.
It is not about whether we go to Delhi or not. We have not come here to clash with our soldiers. We just want our demands met for a law regarding the implementation of the minimum support price.
Farmers represent an influential voting bloc, and with national elections in a few months, it could become a major issue for Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is seeking a third term.
We will not leave until our demands are met because our trust has been betrayed once before by the government. Just wait and see. This protest will be on a much larger scale than the one before.
Similar protests back in 2021 saw farmers camp outside New Delhi for more than a year, something many are ready to do again. Madison Watt, ABC News.
Well, let's return to India, where thousands of protesting farmers have been making their way to Delhi, met by police barricades and tear gas. The demonstrators say the Indian government has not kept promises made during previous protests back in 2021, which disrupted daily life around the country for months on end. Journalist Pallavi Pundir joins me now out of Dehradun. Good to have you with us. Let's look at why farmers have decided to get back out protesting, trying to get heard again by Delhi.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you so much for having me. So the farmers are out on the streets again. They're marching towards New Delhi as we speak. They've been blocked before they could reach Delhi. And one of the main reasons why they're out there is because they're saying that a lot of promises that the government had made in 2021, when they were protesting for over nearly 2 years, they said that a lot of promises that were made back then have not been fulfilled, and that is why they've decided to get back on the streets and hold the government accountable with regards to the promises that were made to them.
Yeah. So let's try and get an understanding of what issue they have around the prices that they receive, the state of the farming industry, the agricultural industry in India.
Right. So I think the biggest reason behind the protest this time is that a certain promise was made with regards to the minimum support price, which is essentially a rate at which their crops are purchased, and they're demanding that those rates be regulated by the government. Now, the government had promised that they would look into it last time, but they haven't. So this time they want the government, they're sort of forcing the government to get back to the issue. India's, most of India's agrarian sector, most of agricultural produce is determined by this minimum support price. And right now, the government announces support prices for around 20 crops each year to set a sort of a benchmark. And but the thing is, a lot of state agencies only buy rice and wheat at the support level, which benefits around just 7% of the farmers. The Indian agriculture employs the sector employs 70% of India's population. That's insane. And at the same time, the sector contributes to just 1/5 of the country's GDP, despite such a massive workforce. So, by highlighting these issues, the farmers are saying this is where the problem, this is what the problem is, and you need to address it.
Yeah. They've been met by police barricades in their efforts to be seen and to be heard. Is that going to be a problem, this kind of reaction?
So right now, it's a pretty sensitive time because India is sort of hurtling towards its elections in April and May. It is a sort of a sensitive time. I think the government is being a little smart. They're negotiating with farmer leaders. But at the same time, we see this disproportionate use of force being used to stop the farmers. And we don't see that stopping. For the first time in Indian police history, drones are being used to drop tear gas to sort of, to stop the farmers from marching. So, and then like the kind of barricading that you see, like these giant spikes, these metal barricades, I mean, it's resulted in jokes that, like this is like Delhi is better barricaded than Indian borders. Like that's how solid the barricading is. So yeah, at the moment we see a disproportionate use of force to stop the farmers, and negotiations are still going on. The BJP is a little wary, and right now I said that the time is really sensitive because of the elections coming, and we see the opposition alliance sort of using it as an opportunity. They've already announced that if they are voted to power, they will support the farmers' demands. They will fulfill it. So it's become sort of an election issue now.
Yeah, and to your point, with so many employed in this sector, it could become a very big issue, an election issue for Prime Minister Modi. And this sort of mixed message that he's sending, on the one hand, trying to appease the farmers, but yet using this kind of violence. How do you think it's going to play out in the next couple of months? Because as we've seen before, they're pretty happy to just stand their ground, the farmers.
I think irrespective of how the state responds, irrespective of how the mainstream media reports about them, in the last protests, we saw a lot of these farmers being branded as traitors, anti-national,